The ratings are in for Wednesday's edition of AEW Dynamite on TBS. No, Vince McMahon is not going to buy back WWE, despite him possibly wanting to. We've got the backstage reaction to Mike Santana's WWE in-ring debut on NXT on Wednesday. More details about just where WWE Wrestlemania 42 is set to move to next year. We have an injury update on Chelsea Green after she suffered a bloody nose on Saturday night's main event last weekend. Details on just how long Smackdown is set to remain a 3-hour show for. We've got the plans for Stephanie Vakur now that she's been seemingly called up to WWE Monday Night Raw. And WWE Chief Content Officer Paul Triple H Levesque reportedly isn't a fan of WWE Money in the Bank. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Before we begin, you can see right there, we're currently at 22,038 subscribers on that road to 25k. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and join the ever-expanding WNU, that being the Wrestling News universe. In addition, you can become a member of the WN365 roster. Links in the video description. You can click the join button or scan the QR code when it appears on the sidebar. Let's begin with the ratings for AEW Dynamite Wednesday on TBS. Of course, the Fallout episode from AEW Double or Nothing. Now, Wednesday night's Double or Nothing Fallout episode of AEW Dynamite averaged 636,000 viewers on TBS, up over 10% from last week. It's the second highest audience total for the show since March 26th. Dynamite drew a 0.16 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. That's up over 6% from last week, but ties the fourth lowest rating the show has done so far in 2025. Now, in terms of the quarter-hour ratings, these come courtesy of WrestleNomics. Shout out to them and should be sure to subscribe to their Patreon service. You can see the trends pretty much in line with what to expect in recent weeks and months, but you did see an unusual rise in the concluding segment of the show, that being Mercedes Moné versus Timeless Toni Storm, that face-off ahead of their match at AEW All In Texas. Now, the show went head-to-head with the Oklahoma City Thunder versus Minnesota Timberwolves in the NBA Western Conference Finals on ESPN, as well as the Florida Panthers versus Carolina Hurricanes in the NHL's Eastern Conference Finals on TNT. Now, both ended up being clinching games of their respective series. As compared to the same week in 2024, Dynamite's overall viewership was down 36%, while the 18 to 49 rating was down over 19%. Of course, these numbers this year do not include data from the simulcast on the Max streaming service. Now let's go over to Vince McMahon possibly buying back WWE. This is a rumor that really has kind of got out of control over the last few days, but just to confirm, according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, Vince McMahon is not buying back WWE. Now, Jonathan Coachman, the former WWE announcer, noted this week that he had heard rumors that Vince McMahon was interested in buying back WWE. Now, while Fightful say they're sure Coachman did hear of that interest, another person in the media came along and claimed they heard it as well. Now, they say that they didn't hear it from anywhere outside of Coachman reciting it, and indeed, it is not happening. McMahon would almost certainly not have the financial means to actually, at this point, purchase the company, and, crucially, he doesn't have the ability to buy back a controlling interest in it. WWE's market value has increased significantly in the year since McMahon made the deal for a number of reasons. McMahon's does have a remaining stake in TKO Group Holdings, but the Vanguard Group, who most of you have never heard of, nearly owns as much stock in TKO as Vince McMahon. Endeavor, Silver Lake equity holders, and Egon Durban now own 60.92% per a report from WrestleNomics. Now, that means that, to be clear, this is nothing to do with Jonathan Coachman's credibility or saying he's heard something wrong or anything like that. He probably did hear that Vince wants to buy back WWE, but no reputable media member or reports or anything like that outside of the pro wrestling bubble has even speculated that indeed this was happening. So Vince McMahon is not buying back WWE. Mike Santana, of course, he made his WWE in-ring debut this past Tuesday, and an update has emerged on the backstage reaction in WWE to the recent performances of TNA wrestling star Mike Santana. Now, Santana was involved in a backstage segment at Battleground last weekend, which resulted in him challenging No Quarter Catch crew member Tavon Heights to a match on NXT television. The match took place this past Tuesday with Santana scoring the win, before later on in the show he returned to the ring to issue a challenge to the brand new TNA World Champion Trick Williams. Williams and Santana will now have a title match on next week's episode of NXT. As far as how Santana has been received so far, PW Insider is reporting that he got, quote, high marks, end quote, from people in WWE. Santana himself appeared on Busted Open Radio recently and spoke about how WWE was so respectful of his authenticity and on board with his presentation during his work over the past week. As noted, he will now challenge Trick Williams for the TNA World Championship on the June 3rd episode of WWE NXT. Now, a massive story last week, of course, was the move of Wrestlemania 42 from New Orleans. Now, Wrestlemania 42 isn't in New Orleans and officially doesn't have a home, although it is expected to be returning once again to Las Vegas, the site, of course, of Wrestlemania 41 just a few months ago. Now, those that Fightful Select spoke to in WWE are quiet on the deal to bring Mania back to Vegas, with nobody officially confirming the news. But Fightful say they did speak to sources that provided insight on other locations. Among them was the rumoured possibility of London, which Fightful have been told is a matter of site fees. It was noted that AEW pays the city and venue for All In and Forbidden Door, while WWE is seeking out a hefty site fee to bring the show to London. Saudi Arabia, of course, has long wanted a WrestleMania, but Fightful say they've not heard of that being on the cards in the coming years. A long-time WWE employee believed that if WWE does a WrestleMania in Saudi, it will be later in a year and be titled like Super WrestleMania, along the lines of the greatest Royal Rumble event that wasn't actually the Royal Rumble, although, of course, the Rumble is taking place in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia next January. Now, through the original statement that WrestleNomics obtained, it was later revealed as a joint statement. WWE's involvement in the statement from New Orleans wasn't mentioned at the time to the outlet. Now, regarding rumors that WWE could take WrestleMania to Vegas more often, many in the company believe that is a negotiation tactic to encourage cities to bid more, again, looking for these big site fees to bring the biggest PLE of the year to the respective state and city. Chelsea Green. What is an injury update on Chelsea Green? Well, of course, if you were watching Saturday night's main event this past weekend, Chelsea Green sustained an injury at Saturday night's main event and gained some respect throughout the situation. Green got a broken nose at the end of the Women's United States title match with Zelina Vega on a 619 gone awry. Green lost the match, broke her nose, and promptly went backstage to film content for WWE. Green got checked out, and it was quickly determined that there was a break. However, numerous staff backstage said that Green handled the situation well and had a positive attitude despite the injury. She was also good with milking the injury for WWE's social media to capitalize on it, which impressed several people in the company, according to Sean Rossap of Fightful Select. It is suspected that Green suffered a clean break of the nose, which isn't her first. She's expected to be required to use a face mask and is expected to remain on television. Smackdown is seemingly going to be a 3-hour show for the foreseeable future. 3-hour WWE Smackdowns on Fridays aren't going anywhere anytime soon, according to a new report from WrestleVotes. The outlet reported Thursday that for the foreseeable future, Smackdown will remain at 3 hours in a change from their previous plan, as USA Network, that being NBC Universal, is satisfied with the performance in the third hour. The two sides reportedly had agreed to a final 3-hour runtime on Friday, May 30th, but plans changed. WrestleVotes noted it's a fluid discussion about the length of the show, that a return to 2 hours could take place as early as this fall. As recently as early May, Paul Triple H Levesque had said the 3-hour format was only temporary. That followed a January Pat McAfee appearance where Levesque said the same thing. For the first time since 2019, the Blue brand returned to USA Network last September as part of a 5-year deal worth $1.4 billion in total. That includes 4 Saturday night's main event specials on NBC and Peacock per year. Now, Stephanie Vakur, she's been called up to the main roster, specifically the Raw roster, and Vakur will soon be moving to the WWE main roster, and it appears the former NXT Women's Champion will be involved in the Women's World title picture on Monday Night Raw. Vakur had been NXT Women's Champion until she lost the title to Jacy Jayne in a shock result on the post-Battleground edition of WWE NXT. It emerged soon after that Vakur was expected to move to Monday Night Raw, which will occur after WWE and AAA's Worlds Collide PLE. Corey Hayes of bodyslam.net/PWN on Bodyslam has reported that Vakur will likely begin on Raw from the June 9th episode in Phoenix, Arizona. It is expected that WWE will run back Vakur versus Io Sky in the very near future as well. Quote, after the show, Tuesday's NXT, I got a message saying that Stephanie is going up to WWE Raw, and PW Insider confirmed it today that Stephanie Vakur is indeed WWE Raw bound. So we're going to have Stephanie Vakur showing up soon, probably on the June 9th episode of WWE Raw from Phoenix, Arizona after Worlds Collide. Today, before we went on the air, I got a message that said expect Io Sky versus Stephanie Vakur sooner rather than later, so they're going to be running that match back again very soon, Hayes said. Now, Vakur versus Io Sky went one-on-one at the Raw after WrestleMania 41. That match ended in a no contest after 13 minutes due to interference from Julia and Roxanne Perez. And finally, Money in the Bank is coming up, but a key person in WWE reportedly isn't a fan of the concept. WWE Chief Content Officer Paul Triple H Levesque reportedly isn't a big fan of the concept around Money in the Bank. It was recently announced that the 2026 edition of Money in the Bank will take place much later in the year than usual, with the show set to emanate from New Orleans, Louisiana on August 29th next year. While speculating upon the possible reasons for the move later in the year, TC of WrestleVotes reported on WrestleVotes Radio that Triple H is not a big fan of Money in the Bank. Quote, I've been told Triple H is not a big fan of Money in the Bank prop as a whole. So maybe this has something to do with creative-wise what they want to do with it, TC said. Now, Triple H's reported thoughts on Money in the Bank could indicate why he was hardly involved in the concept during his in-ring career. Triple H never competed in a Money in the Bank ladder match, nor did he ever hold the Money in the Bank briefcase. A wrestler never cashed in on Triple H during a world title reign either. One of the few times Triple H was ever involved with the Money in the Bank briefcase was at SummerSlam in 2013, when he helped Randy Orton cash in to win the WWE Championship from Daniel Bryan, a moment which also saw Triple H turn heel for the first time in 7 years. But there you go, guys, the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.